We are building the Minesweeper project from the Ybyte Python curriculum available at www.ybyte.in. In the previous video, we created a function called clickOn, which will run when any of these buttons is clicked. And furthermore, the two arguments that the function takes are the, let's say, the row and column index of the button that we are clicking. Now, in this video, we'll see what happens if I click a button which has a bomb or say a mine inside. First question you must ask yourself is, how do I know that this particular button has a mine inside? Well, that answer comes from the list field. For example, this item is a 9, which means that there's a mine inside this button. That's because it's 0 2, so that is a 9. So that's a button. So basically, wherever there is a 9 on this, and we know there are 10 of them, it's kind of captured inside this list. So we are going to make use of this. So I get back to my code here. What I need to now sort of update is the function clickOn, because remember that's the one that runs when I, let's say, click a button, right? So I just ask myself, look, let me maybe comment out this so that it doesn't clutter the screen. I just go and say, well, let's say, a mine, and I know there's a mine when I know that if, let's say, field, say, R and C is equal to 9. So if it is, let's say, if this condition happens, that means we have clicked on a mine, and we know that once the mine has been clicked, the game must come to a complete stop immediately, no matter how much you've solved the problem, whether you are at the right at the beginning or whether you're almost done. If you click a mine, that's an explosive, that's a catastrophic sort of situation. The game must get over. So what we do is, we know that we have clicked a mine. There are two things to be done. One is that we are going to disable all the squares. All the squares can no longer be clicked, no longer be clicked. And we are also going to figure out, look, wherever there is a mine, I'm going to display that to my player, so that it's convincing that, look, you clicked the mine and here are all the other mines. So you can go and convince yourself that, yeah, okay, there are that many mines as I thought. So let's do it in two parts. So I'm going to say, look, if I click on a mine which is told by field RC being equal to 9, first thing, I'll disable all the cells. So I just go and say, well, for KK in range, let's say n rows, um, for JJ in range, say, n calls. So for KK and JJ as defined, I am going to disable that particular button. Now remember, all the buttons are captured inside another list called buttons. You've seen this before. So I can just go and index a particular button by saying, well, buttons KKJJ, and its state I will make as, let's say, disabled. So that will basically, so I just make it disabled. So that will make sure that this button is no longer active. Furthermore, I will just go and say buttons, let's say KKJJ, is, I will make it appear in, let's say, a sunken position. And I just do that by saying config, say relief. Now we looked at this relief, for example, when we looked at the Wordle project or the calculator, that kind of tells you how the button actually appears. Now for a disable button, it turns out that tk.sunken does a great job. So I just go and put tk.sunken. It's kind of like the whole thing depresses and looks like the whole thing has been completely disabled. Now, when I run this piece of code, let me just randomly click some, let's say squares, hoping to click a bomb. In fact, I did click a bomb here. And you notice the entire field has been basically disabled. All the buttons have gone into the sunken mode, because that is what we are trying to tell the code. That's exactly what we're telling the code, and it is happening. Now, the next step that we need to do is that, look, if I just end the game like this, it's not very convincing, because I do not know where the mines were, and did I really click on a mine, and so on. Those questions will linger. I would rather display the mines once again to my player. How do I do that? Well, look, we are scanning through the entire, let's say, field through these two for loops. In fact, I can again look at my field list as part of the scanning, and if that happens to be 9, I can display the mine over there, and that's what I'm going to do. Notice this is inside the for loop, so I go and say if field, for example, let's say KK JJ is equal to 9, that means I have a mine here. Well, I would want to, like I said, display that mine. The way I do that is I just go and say, let me just copy this so I can, be a little bit faster. So I just go and say, well, buttons, they remain disabled, all right, but their text becomes equal to, let's say, an asterisk. Now you can choose to put something else as well. And also I will use, let's say, this statement to kind of give it the color that I would want. So I want the text to be, let's say, black in color, um, and I want the background to be red. So the way I do this is I just go and say, well, look, background is equal to, let's say, red, and disabled. Okay, so red and disabled, build for very long words, quite easy to get it wrong, foreground, basically saying that look, the button is disabled but the text should appear in, let's say, black color. um, I hope I got this correct. Yeah, so that should be fine. Now notice this if condition is running as part of this nested for loop, and hence all the mines are expected to do this. Now when I run this, let's try this. Let's say I start randomly clicking. I'm bound to hit a mine sometime or other. Yes, I hit a mine here. And not only did all the buttons get disabled, you notice that the mines have been highlighted the way they are showing here. So it's very convincing. Oh yeah, okay, I made a mistake. And look, these are all the mines. I hope this has been clear. Now when we come back, we will develop the code for the other squares. Basically, that will be I hope this has been clear. When we come back, we will develop code for other squares, which is, let's say, a square with non-zero neighbors, and then square with, let's say, zero neighbors. Basically, matter of extending this function, as we'll see. This way of learning programming is quite unique because we get deep into concepts when we apply them and we understand them that much better. Look at our website, www.ybyte.in. We learn Python programming through such fun activities. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.